Hello everybody, welcome back to the channel. In this video I'm going to explain why I use 10-year-old computers for my testing station and the videos I make. So before I get into that, I'm going to explain what computers was used for. So here we go. Over off to the left here, this is testing station number 1. This computer here, the board itself was my ITG machine. What is ITG? It's a dance machine that was made by Roxor Games called In the Groove. There were two different hardware options. They used the MK hardware and they used a Boxor. One was for the MK was from Andamiro, and that was in the Dedicab, which was a PIU-GX cabinet. The other was for the first gen DDR cabinets. That was the only gen around at the time, and it was called a Boxor, and it was a conversion kit for that cabinet. I wanted my own machine really, really bad, so when I bought the board for this one, that's what it was for the longest time until parts broke on that. It was a homebrew machine, and unfortunately I didn't have time to play anymore, so I kept the computer, got rid of the rest of the stuff. So that's what this one was used for. This one is a different story. The case was from a computer that I bought from a thrift store, and there was a different board in there, and unfortunately that at the time, because I was still new to doing videos, that board couldn't support much, and then it burned out on me. I still have the power supply from it, and I have a bunch of other things from when this had the original board. That's the middle one. The one off to the right, that was my old daily use computer. The reason I bought the Dell was because with this computer here, it was taking forever to render my videos. That's why I had delayed videos and stuff like that. It's an AMD Phenom 2. I purchased this board from the board for this and the board for this one were both purchased from Fry's Electronics. That company is no longer around, so these are two very rare computers to me in that sense. So that is what each computer was purposed. Oh, and before I forget, I swapped the eMachine board in here. That was my family member's daily use computer. What happened is the computer started not to do things right, and so he bought another one, and I took this one. I took the board. I still have the case. I actually have a different board in the eMachine case. Alright, so without further ado, let's explain why I use 10-year-old computers. So first up, one reason is, as you can see, I've done some modifications to them. As you can see, there's stuff missing, and not so much that one because I haven't messed with that one yet. Since I put it over here, I just installed an operating system on it. And the issue is, when I first got started, I didn't have the money to go out and buy new equipment, so I had to use used equipment. This computer over here has been with me since day one. And that concludes another thing. It's been 7 years that I've been doing videos on the computer stuff. 7 years today. But let's get back to the story at hand. So this one has been with me since day one. I had another one here that was another computer, and unfortunately that board blew out. And I went through a couple, actually, it was only 2 machines that I went through in the 7 years I've been doing videos. So let's get back to what I was talking about. 1, I didn't have the money. 2, I wanted to keep the cost as low as possible. And you're asking yourself, why did you want to keep the cost low as possible? When you first start doing videos, on YouTube here, if you're under a certain amount, your videos don't get monetized, as you know. So it was coming directly from my pocket, and I needed to keep it down because at the time I was working retail. And I didn't make a lot of money, and I didn't want to spend a whole lot of money on this at the time because I had no funds to do it. Since then, I got a different job, and I'm doing a lot better. Number 2, I do these videos from a standpoint of you might be in a worst case scenario and you need to fix your computer at a reasonable price. That is why I do it. That is almost how I got started, but the reason I got started doing that was for professional purposes. So that, and try to fix the computer as cheaply as possible. Another thing is, I was not going to take a brand new computer and tear it apart. Here is why. Say I would go buy a brand new computer from a store, let's say Best Buy, and I come home and take it apart and I do a video. I'm going to get a lot of, hey, why are you doing that? Plus, a new computer at that time, a pre-built, was about, equivalent to my Dell, was about $300. And I don't like to do that. Now I would never do that due to the chip shortage and all that, because that could have been somebody else's computer that they needed. Now, the only time I would ever take a brand new computer apart is if a company would reach out to me and said, hey, we'll send you this brand new computer, take it apart and tell us what you think. Now, if they would send it to me, then I would do it, but I would never ever go buy, because that sounds very, very like, see what I got, you don't. I could do this, and I don't like to do that. I like to keep things as transparent as possible. So those are the reasons why I use that. Now, there's another reason I use old computers. 1, I like to test the limits of the computers themselves. Now, as you've seen me do in the past, you've seen me upgrade hardware over and over and over again. Now, the reason I do that on these machines is to show, hey, your computer might not fully use this to the max capacity, but it'll work for what you need. Now, please note that just because I upgraded, let's say, this machine, you may have the same machine with an older processor and an older board, and it doesn't work. But it'll work sort of what you need. That's the thing with working with old machines. Like, let's take a USB 3.0 card. This computer may handle it great for its age. The one over here may not. It all depends on the computer. Now, I like to do stuff like that just to show, hey, for not a lot of money, you can fix, something affordably. So I come from, as I stated earlier, I come from the point, let's say somebody's unemployed, and let's say a part goes out. Now, if it's the board, let's say the board burns up for whatever reason, and then you have to go buy a new board. That's what's going to cost you the money. But let's say you're working on it and your USB controller dies. You watch my video, you go, hey, it's this much, I need it. There you go. Let's say that card is $23. So instead of spending a lot of money at a time where you don't have any money, you can spend 20 and get what you need. And another thing is too, then this way I can, because if it's a new computer, I'm going to be careful what I do with it. If I had to buy a new computer and put it on the shelf. But I won't do that. As I stated earlier, I would only do that if a company reached out to me. So that's why I like working with these, because I could sit there and stress them out. I could, pull a card out on the board and see what happens. And since they're old, I don't live too far from a couple of thrift stores. So what I would do is go over there, get another one for $20, and put it on here and start the process over. So anyway, that is it for this video. Please comment, like, subscribe, and click that bell for more notifications.